Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Fly Nubian Money, where we help you to master your mindset and maximize your what? Your money. Today, we are going to dive into a conversation that has the internet buzzing, y'all. Now, listen, there was this young woman who came forward and she claimed that Dr. Umar, somebody mute your thing. Dr. Umar Johnson, a well-known advocate for Black families, is a what? A deadbeat dad. Now, Dr. Umar is one of the loudest voices preaching about Black fatherhood, about responsibility, and building strong Black families. But these allegations have many people asking, should public figures be held accountable for practicing what they preach? What y'all think? I want to ask y'all in the comments. Let me ask you one more time. Should public figures be held accountable for practicing what they preach? Put a yes in the comments if it's a yes. If it's no, if this is rhetoric, like they could say what they could do as you do and not as you say, it's do as you say, not as you do, then say that. But if it's true, does this undermine? That's the real question. Does it undermine everything that he stands for? All that good convicted talk about what he stands for. And even if it's not true, how does this impact his credibility and his influence? So we're going to break it all the way down to the very last compound today. So here's the question for you. Should Black leaders and influencers be scrutinized the same way that they scrutinize others? Do personal matters discredit public work? And if so, how does this situation reflect a larger issue within our community? We're going to get into it with our panel. First up, we got Miss Vanessa. Do y'all know who this is? This Vanessa. She don't got an AA. She ain't got a BA. She got a what? A master's in public policy. Yes. And then we have Miss B. Big. Coach. What? B. Big. Coach. What to say? B. Big. Coach. Hey, Dr. Felice in the building. And then we got that nigga name. Then we got Joe. He is a family therapist. Listen, Joe, it's all good. We actually need you. Somebody said yesterday on the show, we needed you yesterday to give that male perspective. And so Dr. Boyce came in to try to attempt to fill your shoes, but he said that your shoes were pretty big. So we got we got everybody that needs to be here. We got the two therapists, because I think we really need to break this down and therapize this. And then we have my sis, who has a master's in public policy. So we're going to break it all the way down from very different perspectives today. Now, y'all, let me ask you a question in the chat. Did anybody see Dr. Umar? How many people are fans of Dr. Umar? When I talked about this on my podcast the other day, there was some that were really, really strong supporters and some that really, really hated him. So how many of you guys actually listened to Dr. Umar? How many of you guys are fans of Dr. Umar? And if you heard this, what did you think the first time you heard about his daughter saying that he's abusive and that he's a deadbeat? What was the first thing that you thought? Leroy said the problem is 99% of people don't know that his visitation rights got taken away. Okay, if that's the truth, then how did they get taken away? That's a good question. All right, let's go. C. White says she's not a fan at all. Priscilla says she is a fan of Dr. Umar. I want to watch the video. Let's go ahead and watch the video of the young lady saying what she had to say. Let's go.
Does your mom hate him too? Of course she do. Because he put his fucking hands on her. What the fuck is wrong with him? He should be in fucking jail. Like, really, he should be in jail. Like, I'm not even joking with y'all right now. It's a lot about him that y'all don't know. He's a crazy, sick man. How long was they together? I don't know. They met in college. I don't know how long they was together, but he was with his other child. He was with her mom for 5 years. That's what she told me over the phone. But I don't know how long him and my mom was together. So he's a woman abuser? Yes, he is. And a liar and a hypocrite. Yeah, all those things. Yeah, she left him. And then this man got on the internet and said, my mom wanted to marry him. That's a lie. That's a lie. Why would my mom want to marry somebody that put his fucking hands on her? This man is a fucking liar. And I can't stand him.
So the first video that she did is she was saying Dr. Umar is her father. And so Dr. Umar's response, let's go with Dr. Umar's response before I get your response. What did Dr. Umar say? Let's go to his slide, his tweet. He said, what did he say? He said, "Good Garvey day. As I don't live in the prison of other people's opinions, I have no interest in discussing nor explaining my private life with any of you, as my 15 years as the most relevant and requested scholar, orator, activist, pan Africanist in the world has made it clear to me that the Negro public is only interested in laughs at the expense of other people's misery. Neither this part gets to me. Neither the coonocracy nor the YouTubian struggle streamer community could care less about the truth of this situation." Now, I'm gonna ask you, Vanessa. So, what did you think about this video about her saying that he abused her mom, and his response to what she had to say?
Well, when I just listen to it, it sounds like there's a lot of hurt in there. There's a lot of animosity. There's a lot of confusion, I'm sure. I mean, because when you don't have answers and you have, the perspective of one parent, I mean, that's her truth. So, I mean, nobody could take that away from her. That's her truth, regardless of what went on between her mother and Dr. Umar. Children, they don't look at it, they just look at it as you weren't around. So, the gentleman that said he lost his visitation rights, it's like all that goes out the window, because at the end of the day, the child is just looking at it like, well, it doesn't matter. You should have fought for me. So, I mean, that's her truth. So I feel like she's just expressing her truth, and then maybe seeing him online, talk all this stuff about where we should be as Black people, how we should act, what Black men should do. It comes off as hypocritical. And it just sounds like she's angry, hurt, all the emotions of like looking at a man who's projecting all of this stuff onto the community, but then is not practicing what he preaches in her eyes. So that's what it sounds like to me. And I think that as parents, it's really, I think you have to be at a mature level to not involve your children, or to be in a space to say like this, I don't like you. Now if it's an abuse situation, that's different, because I wouldn't trust no man that's beating my ass to be around my daughter.
Mm-hmm.
But all the other stuff, if it's something like we got into it, we couldn't get along, I just feel like that you gotta fight for your kid, or you gotta do what you gotta do if you want to be a part of your child's life. And there's some issues with the mother.
Yeah, yeah. What do you think, Felice? You are muted, I think, boo.
I really don't know Dr. Umar. I do know that from the little that I did get exposed to, he seems like a very highly intelligent and gifted Black man. But I just thought, here we go again, this narrative of Black men who don't take care possibly of their children. I thought, and what I heard and was a cry for attention from her father, because for you to get out on social media and have a live to engage other people, it sounded that was like a cry. Like, though she doesn't care, she does. And she wants some type of reaction or engagement with him on some type of level. And I also questioned the timing. Like, what is it about the timing now that she felt it appropriate, or the need to out her dad? And so
Mm-hmm.
those were the things that went through my head.
Mm-hmm. When you said, the hurt, that reminded me like my daughter. My daughter and my three of my kids are in Texas visiting their father right now. And so I've been, I always try to encourage that relationship, but it doesn't always pan out. My daughter came in my room the night before, no, the day her dad asked her to go. And I was like, just go, girl, just go, just go. Just go. It might be an opportunity. And she always told me, I don't care about him. I wish I never had dad, blah, 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 always acting tough. But that day when he asked her to come, she just broke out in tears because she longed for that relationship. I had no idea she was feeling that way that she was feeling, and all she wanted, because she said, Mom, I've been praying for this. She never told me I've been praying for this. I've been journaling. I was looking back in my journal, and I've been praying for reconciliation with my father, and for him to do that. And so the next day I texted him. I was like, yo, and he never texted me back. I said, please make sure You thank you for inviting her, number one, but please make sure you come through, you follow through, please. That was all I said. And she's down there. Now he left one of my kids out. So one of them are still at home, which is so now he got it. Now I gotta deal with that. But to your point, that hurt that you don't even know that's there, that you could obviously see as a therapist, looking from a therapist lens, that us, with our regular eyes don't really see. Because we hear, right? We're hearing with our ears. You're seeing from a very different lens, which I think was interesting. So what do you think, Joe?
Man, I don't know. I feel like, there's just not enough information to like make, an educated, get assumption on whatever has happened. I don't know what's happening here. I couldn't talk on it without assuming whoever her father is, obviously either is not present or doesn't mind his daughter making a spectacle of her situation on internet. So, clearly, to get on the internet and do this, it's showing me signs of hurt and exposing pain, exposing wounds that need to be healed. As far as Dr. Umar goes, I don't like to make assumptions on anybody's situations, so I don't know. But it's sad, whatever it is, because we don't need this. Like Vanessa said, we don't need this narrative, man. We don't need it, because I don't know brothers like this. I know that there are some that exist. I know that there's a generation of us that got raised by men like this, including myself. But like this generation of men, the men that I hang around, I don't know brothers like this. I don't know brothers that want to hang around men like this. You know what I'm saying? Like we want to be fathers. It's important to us to be fathers, to show up, um, and and have influence over our children and other people's children. So I don't know, man. I don't need this, and I don't want to talk about it.
Well, I tell you what, when I saw it, when I seen it on Shade Rumor, my comment was that's disappointing. Because I do follow Dr. Umar. Like I don't follow him super duper close, but I see his stuff. And let me just tell you, so Dr. Umar reached out. Me and Dr. Umar talked a few years ago about him being on my show. So he reached out to me a couple weeks ago, and my kids were excited because he's like, the sound bites are all over TikTok. So they love Dr. Umar. They just love the little stuff that he say, just the silly stuff that he says that they get, but they love that like he's that perfect person that, where you see a TikTok where he has a soundbite. So when I told my kids, I was like, hey, he want me to text him. Should I text him? They were like, yes. My older son was like, I've been dreaming for this day. Right. So I'm like, ah. So, but when I saw this, because I think so highly of him and what he says. Now I know he says that he's a polygamist and all these other crazy things, but he says what he says with so much conviction. I shouldn't have been surprised, because I've been around a lot of people who talk one way and act a different. I've been around a lot of thought leaders who got a cold mouthpiece, but I've seen behind the black curtain to see something different. So I shouldn't have been disappointed, but I was, because I'm like, he says such profound things, like just holding men accountable to a lot of the things that are necessary that we need in this community, to holding women accountable to the things that are necessary. So to see that, it was disappointing. And for this man to say, well, he couldn't get custody or he couldn't see his kids. This girl is 22 years old. You had 4 years between the time she was 18 and the time she's 22 to make good on that relationship, to try. Now, what we didn't show was that original video that she came out. This was just a live afterwards. What she said was, I reached out to my dad because I heard that I have a sister. I have a 13-year-old sister and I want to get to know her. I text him. He never responded. I just want to know who my sister is. This ain't to diss him. I've reached out. I see him all over the place. He's doing this. He's doing that. I just want to know who my sister is. He never responded. So here I am. So sister, if you see me, if you know me, please reach out to me. So then he came back. He said the coon shit. So then the coonocracy and all that shit that he said in his thing. And then she did her Q&A. So the responsibility is on him. And that's the question. And I think we're all in alignment with that, right? I don't think anybody, except for people in the audience, are really concerned with, do we got to take a break, about him losing his visitation, because I don't think in any shape or form that is an excuse for you not having a relationship with your children. Okay, no woman take anything away from a man if he really wanted to be there for his kids. If he wanted to, he would. Let's go to a break.
It's a good show right here. but I'm biased. If you are just tuning in, you are watching Fly Nubian Money, where we help you master your mindset and maximize your money. My name is Tiara Williams. I'm also known as Miss Black Hollywood, and I'm the proud producer of this show because it is lit. If you want to receive notifications for when we go live Monday through Friday, 1 to 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. All you have to do is text the word Queens to 87948. That's Queens to 87948. That's QUEENS to 87948. Also, if you want to grow your money and not blow your money, all you have to do is go to flynubianmoney.com. There's all kinds of resources, there's courses, there's free giveaways. There's just no reason to be broke in 2025. All you have to do is go to flynubianmoney.com. Obviously, you don't want to be entertained here. You want to know enough to grow. Wait, I need to put that on a shirt. You got to know to grow. Got to know to grow. So know and grow with flynubianmoney.com.
All right. Know and grow with Fly Nubian Money. Somebody in the audience said, why can't the mom speak for herself? The mom said she ain't getting into that shit. She got a man. The little girl said, I got a stepfather that's been there from day one. So she probably she don't want to talk. But that's one of the things he said. He called the mom a liar, and he said that he said she needs to come, and I'll talk to all three of them. All three of us could sit down and she could tell her why she wasn't there. But I saw some commentary said, well, if she's a liar, why you want to bring a liar to the table? Because a liar gonna do what? Lie, right? So does this, Joe, lend to his credibility? I know you said we don't need that. We need more brothers like doing the thing. Does this lend or this take away from his credibility as a thought leader, at his power? Does this?
What does he do? What does he do? I don't want to talk crazy about the brother. I mean, but I look at the dude, I hear him talk, and I just look at it as entertainment. That dude is funny, man. He is really, really funny, and that's what it is. He never misses with that entertainment. But as far as like being a thought leader, and I'm seriously not trying to criticize the dude. I really want to understand, like, what has he done? What advances has he made, or what progressions has he made that have advanced some of the things that he talks about? I don't really take issue with the things that he says. I rather enjoy listening to him talk. But as far as it's like hitting his credibility, it's like, it seems like every single time he gets on a platform, if you go into the comments, his credibility is already being attacked literally all the time. So I don't know what this does or doesn't do. So I would have to really see the results of what he does. Oh, he did that? Okay. Well, if you did this, I don't, until we prove that you didn't do this thing that you're being accused of, I don't see any real hits here. I'm still gonna be laughing until it comes out that you're an actual deadbeat. Then I can't laugh with you no more.
Got it. Okay. Fleece, brother man said, I love Dr. Umar, but we have to keep in mind that kids know how to be victims.
And that was tough. I saw that, and I don't know if that's really accurate, because first of all, children's brains are not fully developed until the age of 25. So what does that mean? That means that they're not able to see all of the picture. So I'll give you an example. My father left when I was about 8. And so at 8 years old, I thought that I was the reason that my father left. And I thought that I could also be the reason as to why he could come back. Now, why would an 8-year-old think that, right? That's a very powerful thing for an 8-year-old to think. But it wasn't until I got older with a fully developed brain and some education and stuff behind me that I was able to then piece together the full picture and make a more informed opinion about my dad and his role in my life, or his lack of a role in my life. So to call children a victim is really, really tough and judgmental and inaccurate, I believe, because children know when a parent ain't there. So when a parent isn't there, the trauma that creates for that child and how they view the world in response to the lack of a parent that they need in their lives, especially when it comes to a girl with her dad, because that dad is supposed to be the first love of her life. And I'll give you another personal example. Because of the lack of relationship that I had with my dad, what did I do? I went out and got a baby daddy that looks similar to my dad, right? And so what does that mean? That means that I had a man who I literally had to make a choice not to be in my daughter's life because I refused for him to be the role model that she would gauge her future decisions about how she chose a man. In what ways? That if you would rather be alone than to have a half for somebody, and that you don't accept McDonald's. If he can't give you filet mignon, then you don't accept anything. I didn't want her to think that it was okay for a man to promise her something, not show up, and then throw her a French fry, and that she could accept that. I did not want that for her. Now, was I right in that? Who knows? At that age, that's all I knew to do, to make sure that as her guardian and steward, that I did the best job that I knew how to do. Now, I never talked about him, but I did let my daughter decide. And at 18, she did. At 18, she developed a relationship with her dad, and she saw firsthand for herself who that man was. And so we all do what we do with the best of what we have. And that is and I don't believe that I was a victim. And I don't believe that my daughter was a victim, and she didn't show up as a victim. Was she hurt by the lack of relationship with her father? Most definitely. And did I do all that I could to give her enough love for two parents? Yes. Was that enough? I hope. I pray.
You're not daddy though. And kids, the reality is they need two parents, and so we can love as much as we want to as a mothers, but the reality is they do need two parents. That's why God made them that way, right? So Vanessa, Big Mac said, he's always been, he said he's always been a crook or something like that, right? And so I think, a lot of times, especially with Dr. Umar, been a hypocrite since day one. Yes, he said he's been a hypocrite since day one. A lot of these guys who that are in the public speaking about responsibilities of Black men, your Derek Jacksons and your Ace Metaphors and all these guys that are actually holding Black men to task. It seems like now we see them coming up being hypocrites. But and men have been saying this in the comments for years. Is it because they are taking them to task? Is it because they don't want to hear the idea that there's responsibility with Black men?
Well, I mean, I think, what's so interesting is I don't know Dr. Umar personally. So I feel like, speaking, I can only speak to what we see on sound bites and social media. And I mean, he comes off as extremely intelligent, but I do think as a community, we have to hold the people that are preaching to us accountable for, if you can preach to me, then that means that I need you to do the shit that you preaching to me, because otherwise your accountability, I mean, it's like would you take financial advice from someone who don't have, they homeless? Like it's, I can't take you seriously, if you're not trying to improve your situation, or if this is your constant state. So I'm going to go to someone and take financial advice from someone who is actually living in it. So I feel like, for me, character wise, being a father is a huge part of your character in general. So I feel like if you can, and like I said, I don't want to speak because I don't know the inner workings of what happened, because you do have situations where moms can make it extremely difficult for a man to see his child. My dad, my sister's mom actually would tell my dad, if you come around her, I'm going to call the cops on you for rape. And this was back in like the 80s, Black man. So just, the mindset of him getting in the system and working, in addition to all the stuff he had to go through, made it very difficult. Now, when she was 13, they were able to develop a relationship. But I feel like I don't know the inner workings of it, but if it's as you just didn't show up or you didn't fight for your child, then yeah, your character is in great question. But as Joe was mentioning, I think today I don't know Black men in my circle personally. Every Black man that I know is in their child's life. They're being fathers. It's important to them to be role models and to show up for their children every day. And I think that a man that does not show up for his child every day, you got some real big character flaws.
So going back to to that though, is there a reason, Joe, that a man can't see his children in 2025? Is there ever, like, I could see what you were saying, Vanessa, back in maybe the 90s or the 80s, or but in 2025, does that excuse still reign supreme where people are not allowing men to see their children?
I don't have any personal experience with that, but I don't think so. I can't think of a reason, and I've never been beaten into submission over something like this, but I can't think of a single thing that would keep me away from my children in a real way. If I violated a woman to the point, this is a woman I used to sleep with, have sex with, and we were able to produce a child. So at some point we got along. If I violated a woman to the point where she's that angry, or if something happened or something occurred, I just, as a therapist, I always believe there's a way to communicate your way out of certain situations. And then some people just aren't communicative, and then you got to take it to another level. But in today's, I don't know if there was an excuse back. I'm trying to have some understanding for what you said, but I don't know if there was an excuse back in the day. I don't feel like there's ever been an excuse in the history of life for a
Well, I
father.
think for sure when you look at the judicial system, and a lot of things have changed for men, like like with the judicial
You're
system
right.
and
You're right.
the yeah. So
Right, Vanessa.
back in the 80s, if and then too just legally, women, it was it was a joke, women's babies, daddies maybe. Women had a lot more power, but financially, they didn't. But I know my father had a very, my dad was an excellent father, but he had a very difficult time with my sister because the mother, he didn't want to be with the mom, and she
Well, let
would
me ask you
threaten.
then. If you say that, how do you know he's an excellent father? Like, what did he do to assure that y'all knew he was an excellent father?
Well, for me, my experience, we have different mothers, but for like even with her, he would come visit her. Like if she went to her cousin's house, which was across the street from his brother's house, he would just come over and visit her there. So, he would always tell her like, I love you, give her money, just trying to figure out how to get in. But when she was 13 and she could speak for herself, and he didn't have to worry about the mom saying he was abusive, and my dad was the most gentle man you could ever. I mean, it's a joke, but when they started developing a relationship at 13, but then she could speak for herself, it wasn't this game. So I feel like some men can be turned off by the system or a woman, or to where you're just like, I don't want to deal with you threatening me to be put in jail for lying on me, or going through talking about, you know, I did this or I did that. So, I mean, theoretically, you could just keep fighting the system, but I understand that there are women out there that can make it extremely difficult for a man to see his child.
Yeah,
Back then, more so.
right. I just
Hold on. I need to go to a break. You can finish your thought when we come back from the break, and then I do want to. Dr. Fleece, I want you to answer this question on parental alienation because it's a real thing,
Yeah, it
right?
is.
But so I want to answer your. I want you to respond after the break, Joe, and then I want you to talk a little bit about parental alienation, Dr. Fleece, after this break.
I know you're busy, you got things to do, and you can't take us on the go with you every single day. Good news for you. We are now on Spotify. So if you can't watch us, now you can listen to us on Spotify. Search Fly Nubian Money and all the episodes shall appear. All you have to do is like, subscribe, leave a 5-star rating, leave some comments, tell people how you love us so that when other people come along and are looking for a great show to watch, they can find Fly Nubian Money too. One last thing, and just in case you've been sitting under a rock, Fly Nubian Money now has an investment club. We are the Fly Nubian Money Club. It's easy. All you have to do is go to flynubianmoneyclub.com, and I am committed to bringing in top experts from all industries to help you level up. They're teaching us the skills that we need to compete in this market. We often say that nobody is coming to save us, not the government, but guess what? We're coming to save us. I'm coming to save you with the Fly Nubian Money Club. So listen, all you have to do again is go to flynubianmoneyclub.com. We have a 30-day free trial set up just for you, just for those people that are struggling. Even if you ain't struggling, you ain't got to struggle. I'm coming. Okay, let me stop playing. I'll see you soon.
So, All right. All right. All right. All right. Fly Nubian Money Club. Make sure that you guys sign up for the Fly Nubian Money Club. So, Joey, I want to let you finish your thought.
Yeah, so I saw somebody say something about my language I use, like when I said violate. And I shouldn't probably use that type of language, but my thought process is always from a man who has the best intentions as far for his children, and then also from a woman who has the best intentions from her children. But people or humans are not perfect. So every experience that I've had with somebody that is keeping their child away from their father or vice versa is usually coming from an experience of hurt, most time having nothing to do with the child, the actual child. So when I say violate, I meant to say that if you've hurt your partner or your former partner in a way that just needs communication or explanation or apology, then you should do that before it escalates to a situation kind of like the one Vanessa was talking about, where you get the laws involved and the court system involved, and then there's no talking, because then it gets to a space, excuse me, where there's no coming back, right? So my mindset is always from, if we have the best intentions for this child, together, we should be able to communicate and talk our way out of it. But yes, there are situations where some people don't have the best intentions for their children, even though they think they do, and it gets way out of hand.
Yeah, I agree. And think about the Big Mac said there is absolutely no reason not to be in your children's life, right? And so this man goes all over the world, not just the country, not just in Philly. He's from Philly. He ain't just in Philly talking. He's not just in the United States, but he's all over the world, and he has access to probably some of the best resources. And so if it was really a situation where he really lost custody or he couldn't see his kids, he could take, just like you said, he could take a couple of hours out or a couple of days out of his time to make sure he did that. But then you got the idea of parental alienation being a very real thing. So I want you to speak on that, Dr. Felice. You're muted, baby.
Parental alienation is real, and probably on my part, I probably did some of that. And I thought I had good reason to do so because he wasn't trying to see my daughter on a regular anyway. So I just got in front of it and became proactive with it, and because I didn't want my daughter to think that she was repeatedly being rejected. And so that was my reason. But parental alienation includes bad mouthing the parent. It includes refusing that parent to be in that child's life. It could be undermining their authority, right? Where you allow your child to disrespect that partner. And it could also be forcing the child to pick a side, right? Like he did in his pick a side. And so that's really not good for the child, because the child, first of all, comes out the womb like very pure, right? And they want and need the love from both their parents. And so to make a child make that choice, that's traumatic. Then you have the child growing up with not being able to know how to manage and regulate their emotions around things when it comes to relationships, and possibly making choices in their adult life based upon what was modeled or what they perceive was their reality during those times. And so it could really, look it up. You could look at a whole bunch of people, and 9 times out of 10, the way people show up is based upon the two most important influential people in a person's life, and that are their parents.
Your mom and their dad.
Their mom and their dad. And what a lot of people don't recognize is how powerful the parental role is to the developing child. The most powerful role. And a lot of times people give up because of the effort that it takes, or the fight that they're going to have to ensue. But you have to let that child know that even in those moments, they were so wanted and loved that you sacrifice and you put in the effort. Because that alone, that child will see. Now, even though my mama did this, I saw my daddy fight for me. I saw him go to the court.
That part.
I saw him still try to sneak and call me. They will know that and remember that, and know that that was the love. And so they are worth all that work. They're worth all that effort, because at the end of the day, as adults, we still have a right to be able to learn how to choose accurately.
Mm-hmm.
For our children to have to pay for our choices, that's out of order. And I apologize. I've apologized to my daughter for the.
Did you apologize to her father?
Oh no, he don't deserve it. But
Ah!
no. And God bless him. We're friends, like we really are. Like I don't have anything against him or anything. He just, he's a product of his stuff too.
Yeah.
That's neither here nor there. But thank you for asking that. And it's a possibility that I might do so.
Because listen, Dr. Felice, you should know the apology is not for him, it's for you.
Absolutely. And I preach on that too. So that's a good point because I hold that thought. Because I want you to hold that thought for later, Constance, because even as I step out as an authority, right?
Of course.
I still have a past where I made mistakes.
Of course.
I still have blind spots possibly around those past mistakes. Are you going to hold me to that? Are you going to judge me for the entire time? And so I want you to hold that thought because I think there's some steps that we can do. And I think there's some steps that Dr. Umar can do that could get him in front of this. So thank you for that.
Yeah, of course. No, I mean, and actually want to punctuate what you said. Again, if you wanted to, you would. These kids have technology. They have phones. I'm sure this girl had a cell phone probably since she was 13. She is now 22. And even if you hate the parent, even if they are giving you a hard time, doing what you can to get in front of that and showing, look, my daddy really did fight for me. That could mean the world. My daughter was over here, Daddy, you'll never call me. The phone worked both ways. No, you're the father. Mm-hmm. And then when you talk about parental alienation, if you are a present parent, there is nothing that other parent can do to alienate you from your child. If you are there, you are present, you are showing up, even if they may be talking shit, these kids are going to see. And what's going to end up happening is if you are alienating them from their parent, the other parent, when they get up, they're going to be pissed off at you for keeping them, right, Vanessa?
Yeah, finish it because you guys.
No, go ahead.
I was gonna say the thought. I think that first of all, I think what you and Felice said is great that they will remember the effort because I also don't want to discount. Like I know that there are men that really like. I have a cousin right now, and he would drive 2 hours to see his children, and he would arrive at the where he's at to see his child, and the mother of his child would say, well, you're 10 minutes late, no, you can't pick them up. And there's literally, even though the custody, you can call the cops, he's called the cops, and they tell him you got to figure that out in court, even though there's so there are women like that, and this has happened multiple times. So in his case, what's he supposed to do, fight her? He don't want to make a scene in front of his children. This man had drove 2 hours in traffic going to pick up his children, and dealing with a lunatic mindset because she's bitter or whatever. So there are cases like that, and he did it for years, and you never know what you're going to get showing up. So the courts, he goes to court, it takes forever to get a court date. Then you get a court date, you can ask for extensions, then you try to modify the extension, and then the cops come out, they don't enforce the court order, and then you got to go back to court to hold her in contempt, and you can do that 10 times. So I want to make it very clear that I think us just theoretically saying like, oh, there's nothing you could do to, men can fight for their children, but parent alienation is real. It's a real thing, and it can really diminish the relationship between a good father and a child. But you're right. I think that when they get older, hopefully they'll remember and see that, because now they're a bit older. He still calls and goes to pick them up, but she's done a very aggressive job at alienating, to making, talking about him bad. And so those stories also exist. I'm not saying that this is Dr. Umar's case, but I just don't want to discount that men, there are some good men who are really working to see their children, and there are some very bitter mothers who just want to use the child as a bait to hurt the man,
because they've been hurt by the man.
Yeah.
And you don't want to be with me, you can't see these kids. We do have
Yeah.
that, but that's the reason. That's why you have the courts. And I'm telling y'all, the courts ain't swinging the ways they used to swing back in the days. Courts are really they try to be more on the fair side because they've seen this sort of parental alienation, and in some cases, I've seen them actually rule in favor of a lot of the fathers. But just like you said, Joe, I don't know black men like that. I don't know black men that ain't taking care of their kids. I don't know black men who aren't stepping up to the plate. I don't know black men who, well, I do actually, my baby father, but I don't know a whole lot of black men who are acting in the same way. Like my ex was great. One of the things I never thought in a million years was that he wouldn't be present for our kids once we weren't together, but it was just blew my mind. But there are some stats on fatherhood and black fatherhood in the present, the how they're present in their kids' lives. I want to go to those stats right now. Take that banner off. The banner. There we go. According to the Pew Research, 46% of black children grow up in single parent households, increasing the scrutiny of fatherhood within the community. According to the CDC, black fathers are more actively involved in their children's lives. This is what I know to be true than fathers of other races, despite stereotypes. So when the black father is active, when he's there, he's more active than a non-black father. In a study of media narratives, black men were 3 times more likely than white men to be publicly criticized for personal choices. Absolutely. Absolutely. They can do the same thing, but they're going to criticize a black man. And then studies show that 70% of public figures who face personal scandals see a decline in credibility, even if the allegations are unproven. All right, let's stop right there. So, Joe, you've spoke about like a situation that happened in your life about somebody falsely accusing you of something, and even though it was proven you were not guilty, you were actually innocent. Did that go along with you beyond the trial? That people still think you were guilty?
Yeah, to this day,
Mm-hmm.
it can follow. I still deal with the aftermath of that situation for sure.
Mm-hmm. So if it turns out that Dr. Umar is like, she's really lying and she's crazy and the mama's crazy and everybody's crazy, which I'm not sure they would, because he already said, look, I tried to call her, but she don't answer my phone calls. Even if he wasn't guilty, that jacket is still put on you, and that jacket, it stays there forever, in
Yeah,
some people's eyes, right?
a lot of people want to think the worst about you, no matter what you do or who
Mm-hmm.
you. So if that's what they want to feel about you, like the people who really actually know you and want the best for you and appreciate the way that you show up in their lives, you can't tell them something like that without them actually looking into it themselves or asking you or inquiring about it. Hey, listen, did this happen? I don't even expect anybody to assume my innocence. But so
Wow.
for if you don't approach this man and ask him for his perspective yourself, then you don't care. You just want to think the worst of this man anyway. And I don't, what I'm saying? Like, I don't know, I don't have an opinion. And that's because I don't have any I'm not emotional about this guy. So when you talk about my situation, like people, if you didn't approach at this point, all the years later, then it's done, like 3 years later, over with. If you never approach me and ask me about it, you just assumed and walked out of my life, it's very difficult for you to walk back in. I don't really want to hear it.
Mm.
I don't ask you to assume my innocence. Just talk. Just ask me.
That's deep, because I'd be offended, but I guess I haven't been through anything like that. But I would be offended if somebody automatically thought I was guilty. So the fact that you approach it in a way that you're like, I don't assume that you assume that I'm innocent, is that's different and deep,
The
right?
crazy world. People do stuff.
I get it. This right here, Umar was awarded visitation, supervised visitation. Umar stated in 2018 that video that he refused to see his daughter per supervision. He will not sit in the family's home to visit his daughter. Come on, speak on it, Vanessa.
Now, I mean, see, that doesn't make any sense, because I feel like any time that you can spend with your child as a father, then you need to spend it. And like you got the resources, you got attorneys, now I don't know what it's hard to take a parent's visitation rights away. So my thing is, what happened where now you need to have supervised visits? That's the real question. And then if it was nothing big, how did you let it happen? Because you can't just say, well, she lied on me. And that means you probably, what, she lied on you, you never showed up to defend yourself or hire a lawyer. So if you got time to get on the internet and do all these shows and travel and all that, then you got time. You can even just send your attorney to show up. You don't even got to show up. So that's my question is what was why did you have to have supervised visitation? What made it to that level? And then so many questions, but that's a super weak excuse.
Yeah. Yeah. What do you think about that? The idea that he had visitation.
I think that, I mean, it's screaming a lot of pride. It's screaming ego. And that's my thing with Dr. Umar, that you have to honor this child's perspective, right? Because our perspectives are our reality. And so he has to honor that. And as the love for a child, you would want to at least meet her where she's at and disarm her. And the way you disarm her is by humbling yourself. Like there's power and strength and humility. It doesn't take anything for somebody to put up a wall. A wall doesn't take strength. It doesn't even take thought, but it does take strength to say, you know what? I humble myself and then confess the sin. You know, I was wrong. Maybe I didn't like your mom. Maybe I didn't treat her right. Maybe I projected that onto you and didn't do what I needed to do. And I'm sorry that you perceived that I wasn't who I should have been in your life. And then change the course. Ask for forgiveness.
Yeah.
We do this over. Let's have a clean slate. And he can change and get in front of this so quick. Because we all have a history.
How does he get in front of this though? And that's that was the next thing I wanted to talk about is the bigger picture. How does he get over this?
Humble himself, ask for forgiveness, and then say, hey, let's have a clean slate. Let's have a do-over. Admit, take responsibility and accountability for the role you did play. Because this reality that might exist, something happened to create this. And it took two or possibly a tribe to create it. So fess up to the role that you took and played in this, and then ask for forgiveness. Hey, I'm sorry. Can we start over? And I think that's how you get in front of, and that's how he saves his credibility.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you this, Dr. Fleeks, because there's a video. These are the types of things that make me say, yeah, Dr. Umar, yes. But does he still have credibility after you've heard this?
And I'm telling you, black men are responsible for her being masculine because we have not helped her raise them children.
I am
and
not.
when I say help them raise them children, I don't mean you as the stepdad.
No, yeah,
I mean you as an active member in the community. She got masculine because she had to become masculine in order to deal with the rape, the abuse, the domestic violence, the disappointments that men had in her life, and also raising those kids and have to take care of herself all at the same time. The black woman has been the be-all, end-all in our community for half of a century, and now we want to turn around and say because she didn't do it perfectly enough or remain feminine enough when she had to absorb our responsibilities plus her own, that's insensitive and disingenuous.
Wow, that was beautiful.
That's what I'm saying.
What you preach.
That is what I'm saying. So when I seen that, I was like, that was disappointing.
That was so, he, oh my gosh. Like,
are you speechless?
Because he nailed it. Like,
yeah. So now for the black men that have been saying, the naysayers in the comments, they're gonna be like, see, I knew that nigga. I knew, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh man. Come back to me on that one. Like,
good Joe. Help us out here.
So I'm like I said, we don't know. I'm still stuck on that. Like I didn't hear anything about this until today, honestly. You know what I'm saying? I've seen this dude on many platforms, and I rarely disagree with the stuff that he says. So yeah, he nailed that. Obviously, it means nothing if all this is true, and he's not a father to his child, then we have to. His credibility is out of there. Is out of there, and his words mean nothing until he apologizes. Like Dr. Felice says, I mean, you can come back from stuff like this, but you gotta apologize, man. You gotta take accountability for the way that you showed up in situations, and you gotta really move towards authenticity. Like, who do you want to be? Do you want to be the man that you're talking about, like in this clip? Okay, and if like I'm saying, it's all alleged, but if he's not moving in that way, if this is the man he wants to be, you can do that. You can still be that, but you have to take accountability for your mistakes. And then his earlier statement that you posted up rings true. Like, if you don't live in the thoughts and minds of other people's opinions, then you can bounce back from stuff like this, or you can just be ashamed and keep doubling down and acting like none of this stuff is happening.
Well, Black Lexicon said he told the truth because he experienced it. So, a lot of times these people, they be projecting. The Derek Jacksons, he's projecting. You don't want to deal with a narcissist. You want to do this. You got Ace Metaphor. If a man don't want you, so it's those people who are actually doing it. They're telling you, stay away from these kind of people. But for you, Vanessa, does he lose his credibility when he's...
Can we get some Barry plan? Practice what you preach. Because no, I mean, and this is, I say this unfairly because I just follow Dr. Umar's clips because I really, I don't know, I take what people are saying with a grain of salt, especially like if I don't see it being lived in their everyday life, like because a part of that, his thoughts on like marriage and being with a woman are completely different than mine on the family foundation, which I believe is the key. But I just feel like when you're out here preaching and you got a daughter, like it would feel weird to me to be saying all this stuff, knowing that I have a child that I haven't seen, that I haven't raised. Now, I don't know if he's given child support. I don't know. But I just believe that we live in a time where if you out here preaching, you got to at least walk by it. You got to at least walk by. You don't have to be perfect. You might not be a perfect dad, a perfect a mom or whatever, but you got to walk in some of that. You can't just...
I'll say this. The Bible, God spoke through a jackass. Like, so you can kill the messenger, but the message still can stand on its own. So I think what a carnal mind will say, like a lot of these men, oh, see, I knew he wasn't shit, so I'm not going to listen to him. I'm just going to keep being a deadbeat. The message is still true, regardless if the messenger is faulty. So I would say that, I mean, you still got to practice what you preach, but it doesn't mean anything that he said is wrong. I've seen many hypocrites in the pulpit. Many. Oh, they got a cold mouth game. I've seen many thought leaders that were hypocrites, like I said in the beginning, but they're still saying the right stuff. They're still motivating me. So, I don't believe that he loses credibility for who he is, but his message is still on point.
Yeah, I could agree with that. I could 100% agree with that. But I feel like people need to use discernment. You can't follow if you want to follow the message and pull from it. But a lot of times people are looking at the person and they're modeling, so I don't know. I just feel like...
So that's the thing. Do we have to have this alignment of person and message? Because then, are you totally turned off? Because even with Derek Jackson, y'all, I'm still seeing him. One of his latest videos got 400,000 views. Like, we know this Negro is a narcissist. We know he ain't lining up with what he says, but people are still listening to him. So, is this going to do anything? Do you think Dr. Felice is going to do anything for his credibility or his popularity as a what do you call himself, as a spokesperson or whatever he said he was, whatever he is?
I think if he's dealing with corporations and stuff like that, that might. But people have short memories. You know what I mean? It's like,
that's true.
It only lasts for a little.
Call them social media memories.
Right. Yeah, they don't last long. And so people are going to be upset for a minute. And as long as he stands his ground and hangs out there, he's not, they're not only going to forget, but he's going to bring in a whole new following that has no memory or idea about this space and time for him. So all he has to do is keep moving and putting one foot in front of the other. But as far as being a good leader has character. A good leader has integrity. a good leader surrounds himself with godly and wise counsel because he wants to walk the walk and talk the talk. That's what good leaders do. And what people don't know is that we all have a responsibility to humanity. None of us are supposed to just do what we want to do, especially when it comes to other people. We will all be held accountable. And so at the end of the day, he's going to pay a price, and he's got to decide how much that he wants to pay and how much he's going to, try and rectify. But yeah, I think a good leader, and I personally look at people's fruit. It's very hard for me to follow anybody, and I mean that. I like Dr. Umar, but I don't follow him, right? I just met him, and I think he has great stuff, but I got to see your fruit. And so when I see your fruit and I study and see and said that you showed yourself approved, then you might have a follower in me. But I don't follow just anybody. But this day and time, if you got a good sound bite, you look good, you catchy and stuff, and you got all the trends, people will follow anything.
It's a gift. I'm trying to tell you, people are great. They are gifted. They're talented, but their alignment be...
Right, there's no alignment. And this is what I say, because not only do you have to have fruit, but your followers will also have to examine their fruit from following you, because energy is real and energy is pure. So if what you bring forth isn't pure, the result that you're trying to achieve will not get done. So the people who are following you will not get any of the fruit because your energy, you're out of alignment. And so it's all just talk and rhetoric.
I don't know though, because people are. I think people still learn from these gifted mouthpieces. Like I still think that they can be effective in their message, even though because they're actors. There are a lot of these people are actors, and people, people have been transformed by actors. I've seen it. But we got one more commercial, and then we're gonna give our final thoughts.
Are you a Black business owner looking to expand your reach? Well, has Fly Nubian Money got good news for you? We are building a Black business directory to connect you with customers who need your services. And here is the best part. It is absolutely free. Email us at info@realvirtual.net. Send us your business name. Tell us a little bit about what you do, what services you offer, your website address, and your contact information. That's it. Together, we are going to build and circulate the Black dollar. Get listed today and start connecting with people who are probably already looking for you.
Yeah. I see a lot of these comments. A lot of men are saying that it's the child's fault, and that tells me what type of man you are. Honestly, if you can blame a child and you could talk bad about a child, because I see people are talking bad about the child, that says what type of parent you are, and you're probably one of them deadbeats your damn self. We're gonna go ahead and round this up. And I want to do our final thoughts. I did not want to have a conversation about like the school or anything like that because I think it's irrelevant. I think the real big thing is really focusing on Black fatherhood, being a doer of the word and not just a hearer of the word. I think we just need to be, just be men and women of our words and be of integrity. But, Black people are doing it these days. Black people are taking care of their kids. They're building wealth. They're building their families. They're doing all the things. And this is just another distraction, I think, from the bigger piece. But Joe, I want you to give your final thoughts on the topic of where we are about these alleged claims. And then what's the bigger picture? How do we move forward?
The bigger picture is get over your damn self. If you are a mother or a father in these type of situations, get over your damn self in a real way, especially if you have small children. Communicate, talk to each other, do what you have to do in order to ensure that child the healthiest life possible. Just try to communicate. I realize that do what you can on your side of the street is what I'll say. I realize that some people are never going to come to the table, but be willing on both sides. Get over your damn self. And, you're right, Constance, the school is irrelevant, but where's the damn school? And you can find me at realuconsulting.com or Joe Corley on all platforms.
All right, Dr. Felice.
I'm going to ditto Dr. Joe and pretty much make it about the children. Don't make them pay for your choices any longer. And make the effort to put the child first. What is going to be best for them? And then figure out a plan to do that. If you need any help with navigating that, I'm Felice Hightower Britt, the Be Big Coach. I'm also a licensed clinical mental health counselor. And so find me on Instagram, find me on Facebook, and I would love to be a part of that journey with you.
Amen. And then Vanessa, we're going to round it off with you, sis.
So I just want to start and give a shout out to all the Black amazing fathers that are out there doing great jobs and raising great children and building our community. To all the moms, if you're co-parenting, shout out to the positive co-parents who know that the focus is on the child and the well-being and the success is more important for the child than any other issue that's going on. And we just also have to understand that we create trauma, right? That a child's trauma, whether or not that you can create trauma with your parental issues with one another. So get the shit figured out and let's raise a better community of children. And everything else is kind of irrelevant. I just want to say my name is Vanessa Gopal. My company is Winter Remodeling Inc. We're in the Los Angeles area. If you have any construction projects that you want to get off the ground, hit me up. You can find me at Vigo Paul on Instagram or our website, winterremodelinginc.com. Thank you for everyone.
I love that. I'm in 100% agreement with you. Shout out to the good Black fathers. It's a lot of those, and I want to really focus on those than the deadbeats because I think there's more of you than not. So I think it's a beautiful thing. Just because you may not be in the same home as them, it doesn't mean that you're not taking care of your kids. So shout out to the good Black fathers. I do want to end with this. This conversation really reminds us of the bigger issue, which when does somebody's personal life overshadow their work? Whether or not these allegations are true, this situation has opened up many, many, many important discussion points about Black fatherhood, Black leadership, and Black accountability, which is what we all need to be thinking about every single day. Do we hold our community leaders to unrealistic standards? I don't think so. I think holding people accountable to what they're saying, but also taking the meat and throwing out the bone. So when people make mistakes, should they be written off completely, or do we allow them the space to grow? Like Dr. Felice said, he can make this wrong right if he humbled himself, if he took the ego out the way. We appreciate the panel. Vanessa, Dr. Joe, Dr. Felice, this was so powerful. This was such a powerful discussion. And to our audience, we always love when you chime in and talk back to us and talk Black to us. Continue. Should public figures be held accountable for their personal lives, or does their word speak for itself? Now, listen, we are here every single day, Monday through Friday at 1 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific. Make sure you tune in. Make sure you subscribe to our channel. Find us on Spotify. Search for Fly Nubian Money. We are here every day, same bat time, same bat channel. We're going to see you again tomorrow. You ain't going to see me, but you may see these lovely people tomorrow. And we'll see you on the other side. Peace.